Well, hey, it's going to be a great weekend. Go find Paul. Come find me. Come find both of us if you can. We're going to have a great time down there. And with that, I don't want to spend any more time in the intro. Let's get right to it here. I got a little bit of news you can use. News that'll leave a bruise before we get into the WrestleMania and ROH Supercard stuff. Now, Moxley sat down with his wife, Renee Paquette, last night, I'm guessing, or recently. It dropped just this morning. It's only a couple hours old. To talk to Moxley talks to Renee about this Instagram post that CM Punk put up and deleted within a couple minutes last week, where Punk basically alleges that Moxley, or not, yeah, I mean, from his side of the story, Moxley came to him with this Rocky thing, this concept, and Moxley and Tony Khan are asking Punk to work injured as part of the allegations. He makes sure to go off and call Dave Meltzer a liar. He called Chris Jericho a liar and a stooge. Had to put a little cherry on top of that one. Mm-hmm. Well, Moxley on Renee's podcast this morning basically comes out. He's talking about the time in which Punk is referencing. Moxley very candidly says at that point in time, as he was the sitting AEW champion, he was not even under a contract with AEW. And he was just doing business the way he was taught. He showed up. If he's got to put this guy over on pay-per-view, it's going to be best for AEW, best for Tony. He's going to do it, even though he didn't have to. He's under no contract, no obligation from his perspective. He still shows up, did what he thought was right, made some shots at Punk about how he was hobbling around on one foot while still working with the Jericho Appreciation Society. And most interestingly, I think from the comments, we're going to have full coverage up here on the site here in just a second, shortly after we finish recording here and this show goes live. He's like, he says, I've never said a bad word about AEW. I don't like to talk negatively about AEW, but he does go out of his way to note that he's never seen in all of his years in professional wrestling, WWE developmental, the indies, main roster, whatever. He's never seen this much drama in a pro wrestling locker room in his entire career. So, first of all, were you supposed to be on Renee's podcast today and you got bumped because of John, or no?
Well, that's breaking news. I have been keeping that under my hat. I will be on next Tuesday.
Oh, okay. Nobody knew that? I broke that here?
Yeah. That's been a big secret.
Oh, but great. Yeah. Surprise!
Yes, I will be on Renee's podcast next week. And I think that she inadvertently told me that I was supposed to be on today, but it's easy to forget that you have this massive exclusive when you're married to the massive exclusive.
That's true. He is a massive exclusive, is one JON MOXLEY. So you're going to be on next Tuesday, which is great. Breaking news here. Hey, look at that. We're less than 10 minutes into our premiere on the Premier streaming network. We got breaking news here. Paul's going to be, are you going to be Paul or are you going to be Polio on the
I'm going to be Polio Del Mar,
okay.
Manager of Champions, Champion of Managers, your two-time QWI award-winning pro wrestling personality of the year.
Okay, we got Paul E. Pratt here on House of Wrestling. You're going to get Paul. You're going to get Polio next Tuesday on the sessions. All right. So that all out of the way. What do you think about the back and forth here with Punk and Moxley? I'm genuinely kind of surprised by this because I thought that the WWE main roster guys were coming over and were largely getting along. I had kind of the way it had been painted to me was more of like AEW originals versus Punk. This seems to be more complicated than that. I don't know. What do you think about this situation?
There's a couple of things that come to mind with this. First and foremost, I think that Punk has a history of turmoil no matter what locker room he's in. So even though many of the people who were in WWE together and had this brotherhood or mentality, Punk's been gone for a long time. He was gone for 7 years. He was not part of that recent kind of brotherhood. And if any indication from his past is that he does have this kind of problematic, troubled relationship with people, it would seem. But the other part of what Moxley states in that conversation with Renee is that, he does not consider, he said he didn't really want to talk in depth about it even because the fact for him is that somebody posting a drunk tweet which obviously is not Punk being seen.
And did that come across as a little shot, or it came across as a weird little jab at Punk when he said a drunk tweet there? But anyway,
I didn't necessarily think that he was talking about him specifically, because this isn't the first time somebody has said something off the cuff, and people talked about it. What Moxley brings up is that this kind of thing he doesn't even consider news. People say whatever they're going to say on social media. That's not really news, but then all of a sudden people get sucked into it because people want to talk about it. That, to me, that concept of people saying whatever on their social media and that becoming the headline in the world of wrestling, that is something that stands out to me too, because people say whatever they want to say on socials without a second thought about it. And if you're a CM Punk, all of a sudden it becomes the headline for a week.
It is a stink that AEW just can't seem to shake, right? Like, despite their best efforts, you can have a Kenny Omega versus Vikingo match, and it is going to burn the house down, and it will be relevant for about 8 hours until people go back to wondering about what is going on behind those curtains at AEW right now. Punk is called for it. Dax is called for it. When are we going to sit down? When are we going to hash this out? I've said it a couple other times recently, but I'll say it one more time. I want to know what happened in the 4 to 6 weeks leading up to All Out. I want to know what that dynamic's like. How did it get so bad? How bad is it? How did it get so bad that, these guys can't even sit down and talk and figure it out? They got tons of money. This is only pride and ego here. I don't know what's so bad in this situation that nothing can be resolved and business can't be done. I'm very confused by that.
One of the things that certainly stands out to me, though, is it's hard to amend any kind of relationship. We would have imagined that there was a healing process from the All Out Fallout till this point, and then there could have been healing, there could have been negotiation and discussion and conversation happening, and then Punk turns around and does this, and somebody's like, this is exactly why I don't want to deal with you.
Yeah.
That Instagram post, if it were somebody in my personal life and I had been going through issues with that person and we were almost to a place where things could settle down, and
can I just say that? Okay, so like Dave Meltzer has been reporting things about Punk, right? And when Meltzer reports things about Punk, they get aggregated, they start to be interpreted as fact, right? And I don't get the vibe that Punk is talking to Meltzer when Meltzer is sourcing his stories. I get the vibe that people that may not like Punk are often Dave's source for his stories. And that's, no knock on Dave. Sources are sources. Take what you can get. Hopefully it works out for the best. But I do wonder about, because Punk doesn't come across to me as like a political creature behind the scenes. So when he's lashing out like this, it's because there's something happening behind the scenes where he doesn't feel heard, right? And this is the way I think he feels heard, and it creates this awful communication method, right? And I don't know if you're Tony Khan? This thing's been going on for months. How do you not nip this in the bud, Paul?
Again, 2 points of contention here. One is that I would say, what does it require for CM Punk to feel heard? And the way it increasingly comes across is that for CM Punk to feel heard, you have to do what CM Punk is telling you to do.
But if Jericho or Buck, they want to speak through Dave, right, publicly, they're speaking publicly through Dave. Punk's not talking publicly through anybody except, as we know now, CM Punk. And that's where I wonder about this kind of like weird, I don't know, like those guys need to stop talking to Dave too, right? Like it goes both ways here, man.
Absolutely correct. And the flip side of what I was saying is that one of the reasons that Moxley points out that he never experienced this stuff in WWE developmental or WWE as a whole is because I can promise you people in WWE would have clamped down on this immediately. And that's in huge part because there is a culture in WWE where WWE controls or better controls people's social media interactions. They probably have severe guidelines by which they require people to follow, things of that nature. AEW is a bit of a free for all.
Yes, agreed.